Hello everyone. I welcome you all to my channel. I am your friend Mahadevas, Assistant Professor, Department of ENC, Gausia College of Engineering. Today, we'll be seeing an important concepts of digital system design using Verilog, the lecture 8 on the module 1 that's about introduction and methodology. If you're not subscribed to my channel, subscribe to my channel, click on the bell icon for further notification. Let us see the content. What we will be concentrating on the today's topic is on clocked synchronous timing methodology. So the most important topic, as we have studied till now, we are saying that meeting of the timing constraint. So here, what are the different terminologies of the timing constraints? We'll be concentrating and we'll be just going through the concepts present in that one there. First, let us see the simple digital system design. There's a circuit, what we have here, a simple one, what we have considered here. If you observe, it consists of an input signal, some combination circuits, some flip-flops, and some control sections, and the output, some with the feedback, or it is going forward there. Okay, so these are the signals present inside that, and some of the control signals which is going from the control section to the respective combination circuits or flip-flop, or coming from the flip-flop to the control section there to control the sequence of operations. So what happens here? Let us see that. So it comprises a data path that stores and transforms binary coded information and a control section that sequence the operation within the data path. If you observe all these things, here what it is happening is that the major thing, the concentration on the topic here is about how the data is passed from the input section and how this is controlled with the help of a control section there. So the data path in turn includes combination circuits that performs the operation on the data and register that stores the information. If you observe here, combination circuit, whatever the operation is performed and the result is stored in the flip-flops, what we have. So the stored data can be fed back to the earlier stage of the data path or fed forward to the subsequent stage. If you observe here, from here it can be fed back, or from here it can go ahead there. Okay, so the data path depends upon the control signal what we are selecting for the required design. So the control section drives the control signal that governs the operation of the combination circuit and stores the data in the register there. So control section will be controlling the operation, how the data is transferred from input to the output. That's from the combination circuits to the final output at the output end there. So now the abstract level of extraction. So here we call it as register transfer level there. So given that the data is transferred between register through combination subcircuit, this view of system is called as register transfer level. What is this register transfer level? Here is that generally when we write a program, right, we whatever the block diagram we have designed it, according to that we have to write the Verilog program or VHDL program depending upon the language what we are choosing them. Okay, after synthesis, the circuit which is being generated should match the required design. If that is met, we say it as register transfer level, whatever we have designed is correct there. So it is based on the driving all the registers shown in this particular figure with a common periodic clock. So if you observe here, all the registers are connected to the common clock. When it is common clock, we say it as a synchronous signal there. So we say the registers are all connected synchronously. As I said, if it is common clock, synchronous circuit. If output of one flip-flop is connected to the input of a next clock of a flip-flop, then it is a asynchronous there. Okay, so the combination subcircuits performs their operation in the interval between one clock edge and the next. So whatever the clock cycle we say in the execution of a model, so that clock cycle indicates that within the one clock cycle, all possible operations present inside the model consisting of a combination circuits will be executed there. Okay, so like this number of clock cycles will be increased depending upon the operation. So this clocked synchronous timing methodology help us ensure that the operations are completed by the combination circuit by the time the results are needed. What is the required parameter here is that whatever the synchronous timing design what we have designed, the operation has to be completed by the combinational subcircuits there in order to get the result at the right time. So the timing plays a crucial part. Okay, so how all these things are met, it depends upon the terminologies what we have to study. One terminology what we have here is setup time. Okay, another one is hold time. The third one what we have is clock to output delay, which we already studied in the earlier class. What is the setup time? So what is the setup timings? The data must be stable for certain duration of time before the rising edge of the clock or falling edge of the clock, depending upon our design there. Similarly, after rising or as a falling edge of a clock, the data must be stable for certain duration of time. We say that one as hold time. And how the data is transferred from one, that is the clock input to the output, we call it as clock to output delay. So these are some terminology which we already studied there of registers as being same as those characteristics of the constituent flip-flops. So these are the three important terminology what we already studied, which has to be met. But other than these three terminology, we have few more terminologies which we have to understand there. So all of the bits of data to be stored in the register must be stable. Telling all the data must be stable at the input for at least the setup time. As I said, before the rising edge of the clock or a falling edge, depending upon that, it must be stable there. So we can only guarantee that all the bits of the stored data will be available at the output after the clock to output delay. So if setup time and hold time is met properly, then only the data is transferred correctly at the output with the proper delay of clock to output delay there. So that's the concept what you must know what is happening in the design. Okay, now other terminologies what we can add it here, we just check it out. So these consideration led us to the register to register timing. So register to register, as we know that flip-flops are nothing but registers, okay, for a path in a system shown in the figure. Now let us see one sample example. Now let us see how this register to register timing part of a system can be understood here. Okay, so if you observe, Q1 is the output of one register that act as an input to the combinational circuit, and D2 is the output of a combinational circuit which acts like an input to the next register. Okay, so like this the data is transferred. But if you observe TCO and TSU, that's the setup time and the clock output, the timing diagram of a simple circuit what we are shown, we can understand. Okay, so TC, there is one clock cycle. So TCO, clock output there. So propagation delay slack setup time what we have. Okay, if you observe whatever the edge is there, okay, in this rising edge, if you observe, data is certain stable. Okay, if you can observe here the rising edge, TSU setup time, the data is stable, it is not changing. If the data was varying here, then it means the output is not proper. So if we want to get output proper, it has to meet the setup time and hold time condition there. Okay, so after a clock rising edge, Q1 changes to the new stored value and stabilizes by the end of the interval TCO. If you observe here, what happens? Okay, after a clock rising edge, Q1 changes to the new stored value. So here, in this particular figure, after a rising edge, Q1 changes after TCO. Okay, so the new value then propagates through the combinational subcircuit, stabilizing at the output D2 by end of the interval TPD, propagation delay there, of a subcircuit. Okay, so it should meet the propagation delay of the combination circuit to reach at the D2 there. So the value on the D2 must be stable at least setup time. As I said, the value, this is nothing but the data which need to be stable. before the rising edge of the clock. That's what is happening here. So before the next clock. So there is a slack period where nothing changes. What happens here is that the slack is again a delay, what we have it. Okay, the diagram shows that sum of these intervals must be equal to the clock cycle. So whatever is happening, all this TCO, TPD, slack setup, there's a clock output, propagation delay, slack. This everything operation should be done within the clock cycle. What is that clock cycle? In between the rising edge. Now here we have taken rising edge. Okay. So we can express that particular equality. There's the expression as TCO, TPD plus TSO. According to the previous figure, what we have. Okay. So here TCO, TPD, TSO. Okay. So the another important path. So till now we are concentrated on the data part. Another important path in the digital system design is that it's about control path. Now, if you observe the bottom circuit, this is the control section, which is controlling the operation of a combinational circuit as well as the flip-flops here there. So if you observe, at the top of the figure is the register to register section of a data path, and the bottom is the finite state machine in the control section. As we already studied, what is control section is nothing but the finite state machine. How the sequence of operation has to happen is entirely controlled by the finite state machine there. Okay, that need to be written properly, or the code has to be written properly there. So the status signal driven by the combination subcircuits are input to the output logic and next state logic in the control section. So what happens here is that sometimes the status signal, whatever it is there in the data path, can be used it for the control section there. Okay. So the control signal driven by the output logic governs the operation of the combination circuit and the target tracer. So the control signal, what it does is that whatever the output is required, the output stage, it controls that for the operation has to be done on the combination circuit and the flip-flops present here there. Okay. So the entire timing of this control section has to be added in the equation. So our timing analysis for this control path is similar to that of a register to register path. The equation changes. So the clock cycle in this is TCO, TPDS, TPDO, TPDC, and setup time. If you observe here, sorry, okay. Propagation delay output of this particular hold time of all the registers present there. Okay, it should be within the clock cycle. So we simply aggregate the combinational propagation delay through combination subcircuit and the output logic to drive the inequality. So here the TPDS is the propagation delay through the combination circuit to drive the status signal. So S stands for status signal and O stands for output logic. So TPD is the propagation delay through the output logic to drive the control signal, and TPDC is the propagation delay through the combinational subcircuit for a change in the control signal to affect the output change. So these are the terminologies. So like this, so many are there. Few which are important, we are just highlighting it here together. Okay, so TPDS, propagation delay of a status signal, TPDO, propagation delay of the output logic, and TPDC is the propagation of a signal of a combination subcircuit there. Okay, which has to be met, what we already seen it in this particular expression. All this thing, when it is added, it should be within the clock cycle. Okay, so for a more style of control signal that does not depend on the status input, we can ignore the parameter here. So as we already know that more doesn't depend upon the input, so we can neglect at the time here in the design. In a similar way, we can derive the following inequality expression with the next state logic as here. So we can just remove the status signal what we have there. Okay, it is TCO, TPDS, TPDNS plus TSU. So TPDNS is the propagation delay through the next state logic. So as we know, when we are writing FSM, it has to travel from one state to the next state. So that delay, we call it as TPDNS. That is the propagation delay through the next state logic. But the most important thing is here, critical path. What is that path? The path with the longest propagation delay is called as critical path. So it determines the shortest possible clock cycle time for the system. So whatever the longest possible delay is there, that has to be called it as critical path, because other than that, if it is exceeding the critical path, then whatever the model you have designed is not working properly. If it is within the critical path, or if it satisfies the critical path, what the model what we have designed, then the system works properly. Since all operations are performed in the times determined by the clock, the critical path determines the overall system performance. Why system performance means it is the longest path. It should not exceed that particular longest propagation delay there. If it is exceeding, then what is the use of our design there? Okay, so critical path design plays a crucial part here. So if we need to address the performance issue, we need to identify which combinational subcircuit is on the critical path and attempt to reduce its delay. Okay, so whichever the path we are selecting through the combinational circuit which is passing there, so that has to meet in such a way that it will reduce our delay in the future design there, because when it is connected further, it adds the delay to the huge model what we are designing there. For example, further, the timing consideration arise from the way the clock signal is connected to all the registers in the circuit. So this is also another important parameter. See, if it was a straight line, straight wire, the design was simple. But if you show some random size or and the length is increasing, there when the length is increasing, that design is entirely waste, because delay will be more, performance will be reduced, and area occupancy will be more. Okay, suppose in the register path, the clock signal to the target register is connected via long wire with a significant delay as shown in this figure. Okay, so designing how the connection is happening, they are all the important parameters in the VLSI design. It's not a simple thing in the VLSI design there. Okay, because the billions of money is involved in this. Okay. Okay, next. So a rising clock edge arrives at the source register earlier than that of a target register. This phenomena is called as clock skew. Okay. Another one important parameter. Clock skew. What is that clock skew? If you observe the word, what it is saying, a rising edge clock, that is a rising clock edge, arrives at the source register earlier than the target register. This phenomena is called as clock skew. So if it is not meeting the rising edge, then if you observe here a simple example, in this rising edge, it's not meeting the whole time. So if the propagation delay through the combination subcircuit is small, and the value from the previous cycle may not remain stable for the whole time after the clock edge as shown. It means what? Whatever the operation happened by the combination, because as we already know that combinational circuits gives the result instantly, there means immediately. When it gives immediately, if it is completed the operation before the next rising edge of the clock is arriving, then it is not meeting the whole time. When it is not meeting the whole time, what happens here is that the output is not working properly there because of a clock skew, because the data has arrived early. However, if you don't take care of to minimize the clock skew in the design, the circuit may operate unreliably there. So the important thing what we here we have to understand is that clock skew is another terminology. We have to design in such a way that everything should happen in right time. Either data should not come early or it should not exceed. Okay, if it exceeds, no problem because it is meeting the whole time, but it should not come early. because it doesn't satisfy the hold time criteria. If you observe here, there, okay, within this whole time the data is getting changed. When data is getting changed, we are not getting the proper result there. Okay, so the timing parameter and the constraint that we have considered so far apply to the data path and control section within an integrated circuit chips. So till now, whatever the concept we were concentrating on the data path and control section, they were all within the integrated circuit chips, means within one IC. Okay, that is being considered till now. But when you are connecting from one IC to the another IC, there is another delay. How it is moving from one IC to the another IC means there is a pin to pin delay there. So when we use that chip as a component of a larger system, we also need to take account of the effect of input and output pins. As I said now, the delay between the pins that connects the chip to the another component via the wires on the printed circuit board. So what is the pin to pin delay? That also need to be considered in our design. Other than the terminologies what we have studied, setup time, hold time, clock to output, clock to the next state, propagation delay, next state, propagation delay of a status signal, propagation delay of a control signal. Okay, all these things. So what happens here is that the inputs have internal buffers. Why we have to consider is it has internal buffers that protect the chip from excessive voltage swing and static discharge, and the output have buffers to drive the relatively large capacitance and inductance that occur outside the chip. Understood? So here what happens is that the input is having the internal buffer in order to control the voltage swing and the static discharges what is happening there, whereas output is having a buffer to drive the large capacitance and the inductance that is available at the output side of the chip there. So these buffer together with the associated wire connecting the integrated circuit chip to the package pin introduce a propagation delay. So the connection from one IC to the another IC, as we said, it introduces the one more propagation delay there. Okay, as we can observe this delay, this is one pin, this is another pin. So between pin and the combination circuit or a flip-flop, there is a buffer. So when we analyze the timing behavior of the complete system, we need to include the pin and wire delay. Pin and wire delay. So figure shows a register to register path between a source register on one chip and a target register on the another chip. Okay, so the path includes output combinational logic, the output buffer, and the pin. The printed circuit board wiring, the input pin, and the buffer, and the input combination logic. So all these parameters are in the path includes the output combination logic, the output buffer, and the pin. The printed circuit board wiring, the input pin, and the buffer, and the input control in combinational logic. So sum of the propagation delay plus the register to clock output and the setup time must be less than the system clock. So other than the within the IC, all this pin delays has to be considered within the clock cycle. So for high speed system design, this could be difficult constraint to meet. Okay, whenever the high speed design you want to do, it becomes a difficult to meet. So in such system, what we can do is that we usually avoid having a combinational input or output logic. What is the meaning of this one is that instead of having a combination input and output logic with the ICs, what we do is that we use the registered input and the registered output. So an input that connects directly to an input register is called as registered input, and an output that directly driven directly from the output register is called as register output. So once we use this register input and register output, why we means because when we say register, it's a flip flop. So it depends upon the clock age. So whatever is happening, it happens within the clock cycle. Okay, so that's the most important thing in the VLSI design. So for high speed design methodology, it often requires a register input, register output, or a combination of both the logic then in the design. Clear? If you have any questions, go to the comment section, write down your questions, I'll reply to your question. If you like my video, subscribe to my channel, click on the bell icon for further information. Thank you.